Hey, financial world enthusiasts! Today we're about to dive into the brilliant minds of investments. Want to know the secrets of Ray Dalio investing that are changing the game? In a chat full of insights, we'll decipher the strategies behind Dalio's recent interviews. Debt challenges, political changes, and the uncertainty factors shaking the market. Stay until the end not to miss any crucial detail. Oh, and don't forget, click now to subscribe to the channel and be part of this unique journey. 5. Interview in Singapore. Dude, you won't believe it! Ray Dalio, the investment master, had a super cool interview in Singapore recently. I know you like to know what's going on in the business world, so listen to this. He went all out with his ideas on how he sees the economy and investments. Just imagine Singapore. It's not just any place, and he chose that stage to drop the news. He started by exploring the history of government debt, like how it has grown over the decades. And the craziest thing is that governments are increasingly dependent on loans, especially after the crisis and the pandemic. We always knew this, but Dalio brought some crazy perspectives on how governments are preferring to use debt instead of more comprehensive policies. Things are changing, man. He talked about how economic policy is following a different path, especially in the last 20 or 30 years. And there are these 5 factors he highlighted as the big disruptors of the moment. Dude, we've never lived in a time with all these factors together. Internal politics on fire in the USA, China challenging the world system, and some other stuff. Then Dalio gave those tips to protect yourself in this crazy scenario. He talks a lot about diversifying, not sticking to one place. Currency, countries, asset classes, the guy is a fan of diversity. And he even talked about artificial intelligence, man. How we should keep an eye on companies that are riding that wave. And of course, good old cash. He advocates keeping some money on hand, as a broader strategy. So, my buddy, keep an eye on Dalio's moves because his ideas are next level. This interview in Singapore was just the beginning of a conversation that can change the investment game, got it? 4. Challenges of government debt. Dude, you won't believe the talk Dalio gave about government debt. He went deep into this stuff, talking about debt that keeps growing decade after decade, especially after the global crisis and the pandemic. It's getting serious, Governments are getting more and more addicted to loans. It's like an endless cycle. What caught my attention is how this dependence is causing a big problem with interest payments. Like governments are getting heavily into debt, and now they have to pay more and more in interest. This is tough because the money that could be used for other things like health and education is all going to debt interest. It seems like we're on a roller coaster and this debt just keeps going up. Dalio also took a jab at the change in government strategy. They used to use more comprehensive policies, but now the trend is just to get into debt. It seems like there's something weird in this game, and he highlighted that in the interview. I know economics is kind of complex, but it seems like this crazy debt dependence is messing with the system's gears. So, brother, keep an eye on this government debt story because it seems like it's going to impact even what's left in our pockets. Dalio laid the cards on the table, and it's time for us to be smart in this kind of chaotic scenario, right? 3. Changes in economic policy. Man, my buddy, check out the perspective that Dalio is bringing about changes in economic policy. Things are heating up, man. He's talking about a rough change, a game changer in governments. In the past, when there was an economic challenge, they used more comprehensive policies, It was like a war strategy. But now things are different. Governments are changing that tactic and diving headfirst into debt. That's right, choosing to borrow money instead of implementing more generalized policies. And Dalio emphasizes this a lot, saying that there has been a turnaround in the game in the last 20 or 30 years. It seems like there's a crazy preference for debt as a magical solution. I think the deal is to understand how this change is impacting the economy, right? Because like debt is not a magic trick that solves everything. Dalio is pointing out that this change in strategy is kind of unsettling, and we need to be aware of how it affects the economic game. There are some unexpected maneuvers happening out there. So, brother, gear up because the scenario is changing, and debt is in the spotlight. Dalio, as always, laying it out about this economic turnaround. This conversation is getting more intense, and we need to understand the rules of this new game. 2. Political and geopolitical conflicts. Brother, you need to hear what Dalio is saying about political conflicts. He's dropping some truths that are blowing my mind. Things are on fire in the USA with internal political conflicts hotter than chili peppers. Dalio is not kidding, He highlighted how polarization is reaching stratospheric levels between political parties in the States. It's like an ideological war, where the left went to the left and the right went to the right, no middle ground. And my friend, he didn't stop there. He talked about geopolitical challenges, especially with China on the radar. It seems like there's a dangerous dance, a real threat. Imagine that, the world's biggest power being challenged by China. This is not just a game, it's serious stuff. And Dalio, as always, is keeping an eye on these geopolitical moves that are affecting the economy. I know this is not just bar talk, it's the political reality of the world. Things are tense, my brother, and Dalio is shedding light on the shadows. So be sharp in this political mess because there's a war of ideas and external threats going on. Dalio is keeping it real about how this impacts money and investments. It's like politics and the economy have set up a meeting, and we need to understand what's happening in this crazy date. 1. 5 uncertainty factors. My buddy, you won't believe the 5 insane factors that Dalio is pointing out as the uncertainties of the moment. It's a real roller coaster of craziness that we've never seen happening together. First, he lays it out about government debt, and it's not small. It's a colossal debt that's tying everyone's minds in knots. And you know that basic supply and demand thing? Well, it's kind of crazy now. We're living in a time when the game between what's for sale and what people want to buy is upside down. And politics? It's a mess, my friend, a true deterioration. The moves between parties are tenser than sibling fights, and Dalio doesn't let it slide. Then he throws in these radical changes that are happening. Like things we never imagined would happen are happening now. And my brother, artificial intelligence is entering the ring too. Dalio is talking about how these advances in AI are shaping our future in a way we can't even imagine. So stay tuned to these 5 factors because everything is a bit chaotic. Government debt, supply and demand doing somersaults, politics in turbulence mode, radical changes, and AI coming in strong. Dalio is showing that the game is changing, and we need to understand these cards being played in this crazy casino called life. So, investment world folks, we've come to the end of this fascinating dive into Ray Dalio's strategies and insights. If you enjoyed unraveling the secrets behind economic changes, debt challenges, and the 5 uncertainty factors, don't forget to leave that like to support the channel. Oh, and of course, share in the comments which insight shook your financial mind the most. And to not miss any updates, subscribe to the channel now and hit the bell. Let's explore the fascinating universe of investments together. Until the next video!